From the land of lakes, this is 10,000 Takes. Brought to you by Minnesota Score Radio. Wally and Eric back for yet another week as we slice and dice the always busy, always topical, super saturated Minnesota sports scene. And Wally, boy, we have a lot to chew on. I mean, we can start with the Minnesota Twins.
I'm glad you showed up.
Yeah, hey, I'm a gamer.
I know. I know.
I may not produce every night, but I show up. I'm all about durability.
That's half your game. Unlike some of the members of the Minnesota Twins and now the Minnesota Vikings.
Our viewers might wish I wasn't so durable, but here I am again.
Yeah.
Yes. True. So the Twins smack dab in the middle of a wild card chase, a divisional race in the AL Central. I don't know how they're doing it. As of the other night, when I was out at trendy Target Field, on the back of their lineup card, they had all the injuries for the Twins as opposed to the Royals. 10 different players have been on the IL for the Minnesota Twins already. Just 5 for Kansas City. Yet the Twins are still in it. It's remarkable.
Well, yeah, and they got a split with Cleveland over last weekend, and they had a chance, obviously, to get 3 or 4 because they won the first 2 and put themselves into first place or close to first place. But basically, they ended where they started. And then the Royals come in, and but as you said, the injuries just one after the other. We still haven't seen Carlos Correa since the 12th of never. He's been out for a while, and Royce Lewis plays, but not every day. He wasn't in the lineup Saturday night against Cleveland. I know you said you were sitting in the stands and fans were barking about that. Where's Royce? I mean, these people are paying big money.
There's no question. And you go back to that game when they had won the first 2 against Cleveland. So the momentum clearly with Minnesota.
Right.
If they win game 3, they're within a half game of first place. It's a Saturday night. It's Minnesota Twins Hall of Fame induction weekend. So you got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff swirling around the team and the ballpark that's positive. You and I were at that game. They had 30,000 fans. And what do? They, being Rocco / Derek Falvey, Thad Levine, they give Royce Lewis the night off. No, he did pinch hit late in the game.
Yeah.
But remember, this was a 2-1 Guardians win. I would love to have Royce Lewis swing the bat at least 3 more times in that game. There's a good chance he hits a solo home run or maybe better than that with somebody on base. I don't understand that mindset, but we've talked to people who are close to the organization. They map it all out. They plan it all out. And these days off are by design, where if you look at Cleveland, a guy like Jose Ramirez or Steven Kwan or Bobby Witt Jr. with Kansas City, they play every day.
They do, and that's the difference between the Twins and the Royals and the Twins and Cleveland. And you mentioned Ramirez and Kwan and Naylor and Jimenez. All those guys played all 4 of those games. None of them sat down one game. Buxton missed the first game of the doubleheader against Cleveland. As you said, they were missing Royce Lewis Saturday night. And, I mean, I don't get it. Especially in a critical series like that. I think you got to, particularly at this time of year, when you're playing your arch rival, let's face it, that's their arch rival right now. Cleveland is Minnesota's arch rival. And they decide to sit Royce Lewis. I don't know.
If I'm the skipper,
might have cost them the game.
I want all hands on deck.
Of course.
Because if I don't win enough games, ultimately they will blame me. And they'll show me the door and they'll kick me to the curb. If a guy's legitimately injured, that's one thing.
Right.
But in the case of Royce Lewis last week, that was just a night off at the most inopportune time. Byron Buxton, the night before, he only pinch hit in the second game of that Friday doubleheader against Cleveland. Yeah, I don't really understand it. And, some teams grind, some teams don't grind. The Twins like to put their players in bubble wrap, and other teams just go out and get it done. The Monday game with Kansas City, Bobby Witt Jr. he got plunked right here in this area.
Right.
And I thought, this guy, they may have to take him out of the game. He went down to first base. The trainer came out. The manager came out, stayed in the game. He's played in every game for the Royals this season.
And the flip side of that, Byron Buxton left in the middle of that game on Monday. And who knows, how that's going to affect him long-term throughout the rest of the season, because we know the history with Byron Buxton. Now, it's been pretty good this year, knock on wood. And they have Salvi Perez, Kansas City does. That guy's played in 112 games so far, and he's a catcher.
Yeah.
Byron Buxton's been playing center field and DHing, and he's only played in 90, and we think it's a big deal here.
Yeah, Salvi's old man river.
And he's old, too.
They call him El Nino. I marvel at what this guy's done, being predominantly, as you said, a catcher. They do give him some days at maybe first base or as a DH, but he's durable. He shows up to play at the ballpark every night. So it's a mindset. It's a culture. It's hard to really rip on the Twins because they're still very much in the race.
Of course they are.
So maybe what the Twins are doing is what everyone else should be doing. But fans, they don't like it. That guy I sat next to at the Guardians-Twins game last Saturday night,
he knew it.
About 8 beers into the game, he's like, what's with this coddling these guys? I want Royce Lewis. Because people come to see guys like Royce.
Of course they do. They come to see your stars play. Yeah. And when they're not playing, they know it, and they're going to let you know it as well. Okay, let's shift over to the Minnesota Vikings, because as much as we are down on the way the Twins are handling their lineup from day to day, the Vikings play their very first counterfeit football game. Preseason football for the rest of you. Eric has labeled it counterfeit football, and basically that's what it is. And lo and behold, they play Sam Darnold. They start him at quarterback. Probably going to be their starting quarterback when the season opens. Almost definitely, unless he gets hurt.
That would be QB1.
QB1.
Today's jargon.
Yes, in Southern California jargon. And they play JJ McCarthy. Whoops. JJ McCarthy didn't know it at the time, but he's hurt. Now it looks like he's out 5 to 6 weeks with ligament damage.
Well, first and foremost, I do not question the decision at all to play JJ. He's got to get live reps.
No, I agree
okay with all of that, but it's unfortunate.
It's just bad break.
And it's a setback at the very minimum. He's in his rookie year. He's trying to figure this thing out. And the Minnesota Vikings want to eventually give him the keys to the Porsche. They want him to drive this thing. That's why they, drafted him where they did. So even if it's 5 to 7 weeks, well, that's 5 to 7 weeks where you're not on the field and you're not doing this or you're not doing that. Who knows? It could be longer. I think they will err on the side of caution.
Of course.
And is he out for the season? I don't know. But it puts more pressure on Sam Darnold, too. He has to deliver. If not, you're probably looking at Nick Mullins or Jaron Hall, who was a rookie last year out of BYU.
And you saw how that turned out last year.
Didn't turn out too well. Paging Joshua Dobbs.
Here we go.
The
Pastronaut back into the mix. Oh, boy. Here we go again. 7-10 last year, by the way.
Yeah, all right. Well, stick around. We'll talk to one of the all-time great Minnesota Vikings, number 44, Chuck Foreman, going to join us. We are 10K Takes, your MLB ticket.
Get away to Lakeville, Minnesota, where your family will have tons of outdoor fun. Come for the nature and stay for the thrills. Bring the bikes, swimsuits, fishing poles, and walking shoes as Lakeville boasts trails, lakes, and beaches. Plan your itinerary at visitlakeville.org today.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earrings. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision. It's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
Welcome back, 10,000 Takes, and we're going to continue to talk Vikings, as we said. We're going to be joined now by former Minnesota Vikings great Chuck Foreman. In the Ring of Honor, should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Chuck, see you wearing your Cleveland Browns orange today.
Oh, boy.
I'm just kidding, of course. Give me your first reaction when you heard that JJ McCarthy is going to be out and how you think this will affect his development now that he's going to be missing, 5 to 7 weeks at least?
Well, first of all, when he was in there, I like what I saw.
Yeah.
I think he's coming along just fine. Unfortunately, he's got that meniscus or whatever it is. I didn't think he was going to be the guy that I would start in the first place. Now, I don't know how much damage is in there, but his unfortunate situation is another guy's opportunity. So Hall or Mullins, they can step up and do what they got to do as a backup. But in the meantime, the question marks that we've had with Sam Donald, they should be answered, because I thought he played pretty good the first game, and I saw some good things from him. So, but anyway, that means he'll get more reps with the first team. I think he'll develop, and I firmly believe, like I said before, that I think we may have gotten 2 steals in the draft, Donald and JJ. And when I mean the draft, I mean we got Sam, but I think he's not even hit his stride yet, because he's been with 2 horrible football teams. And I'm thinking, with the improvement that the Vikings have up front on the line and some of the other people they have in place, it could be a golden opportunity for him to showcase his real skill.
Chuck, what kind of a benefit can Aaron Jones be for Sam Darnold? Because with Green Bay, especially last season, I thought he was a key cog in their playoff run. I know Jordan Love was outstanding, but he doesn't do it without Aaron Jones gashing Dallas and some of these teams in the playoffs. So I'm guessing they're going to lean on Aaron Jones a lot.
If I were them, I would. He's one of the backs one of my favorite backs in the NFL today, obviously, because he's multi-purpose and multi-dimensional. He's not that big of a guy, but he runs big. He can catch the ball. He can pick up the blitz. He can do all the things you need to have a guy in there every down. And he's a phenomenal runner. So I think with Sam Donald's in there, and then with Aaron in there, I think they got a 1-2 combination there alone that can change the dynamic of that offense. Then when you throw in JJ Hawkinson and everybody else there, they got a chance to do some great things.
Did you see enough out of the offensive line last year? Because I know you've preached to us on this show and forever that it doesn't matter how good you are back there. If you don't have an O-line, then it's not really going to matter in the end, because the game is won in the trenches. Yeah. Did you see enough improvement in that O-line last year and into this year, what they've added and the experience that they've added, that makes you feel good about that situation, the offensive line?
I think for me, I'm a kind of a guy when it comes to offensive linemen. I like them tough, and I like them rough, and I like them with attitude. And I think we got 1 or 2 guys in there that have that type of personality. And the thing is, I think they got to stay healthy, no question about it. I've seen some improvement. I'm looking for a bunch of improvement this year because they've got the experience. I think we've got some talent up there, and we got some guys in there that, just remind me of my former teammate Ed White, that just had he just had attitude. So
right.
That rubs off on the other guys, and if you can establish that run consistently, and with the wide receivers that we have, and in every aspect of tight end, wide receiver, slot, all of them are really quality football players. And of course, JJ, if he stays healthy, he may go down, in my opinion, as the greatest receiver that's ever been here.
Chuck, I want to circle it back to JJ McCarthy. A few months ago, we were talking to Gary Trent, who played with the Timberwolves, and he was talking about Chet Holmgren with Oklahoma City, who had an injury his rookie year, missed the entire season. And then he came back this past year, technically a rookie, and he was very good. And Gary Trent said, well, the injury at least allowed him to still be with the team, travel with the club, study, get the habits, learn what it's like to be a pro, and he was able to parlay that into the next season and have productivity. So if you're JJ McCarthy, you still can get something out of this, right? I mean, you're going to be in the room. You're going to be at the facility. You've got to absorb things, don't you?
Exactly. And I think, it might, I don't want to say it's going to be an opportunity for him to consume more of what he needs to without all the pressure to play. But, it could benefit him by being in there watching and observing and see what he needs to do, to be ready when he's ready to take over. I mean, the good thing, if there's nothing ever good about an injury, but if he can stay with the team, be at practice every day, observe all the things that he's going to see and pay attention in his, quarterback room, which I'm sure he's going to be doing, smart guy. It could be a benefit, because I'm a firm believer the rookie shouldn't even start in the NFL. There's 1 or 2 that come along every now and then. We had one CJ last year. We had Patrick Mahomes. But generally, all these quarterbacks that are number 1 and number 2 picks in the draft, they generally go to crappy football teams. And when you go to crappy football teams, you have no offensive line, you have no receivers, you have nothing offensively that can help you, and therefore, you develop a lot of bad habits. Your confidence level is not what it should be. So it may be some type of blessing in disguise.
Do you think the Vikings have a good enough defense to compete for a playoff position this year? Are they good defensively? Are they good enough defensively, I should say?
I'm going to put it like this. I have a high regard for our defensive coordinator.
What about the players?
Listen to me now.
Okay.
I'm going to think about the players. Okay, because they are going to be a direct. They're going to have. He's going to rub off on them because he got attitude. He's aggressive, and when you watch his defenses wherever he's coached, they've all been aggressive. They've all been consistent. They don't make a lot of mistakes. So the only thing that may hurt us is the cornerback position, and I'm sure he's going to do some things to shore up that. But I think our defense. I mean, because of the coach. Now, and then I've seen the players that they had last year, in addition to this year. I think they'll surprise a lot of people. I think they're going to be a very good defense.
How will the tragic loss, the car accident of Kyrie Jackson, one of those young cornerbacks out of Oregon, affect this team from a psyche standpoint? I know back when you played, I mean, I believe it was Carl Kasulki got in a motorcycle accident, wound up in a wheelchair. We lost Corey Stringer, about 20 years ago. That was devastating. You don't just shake this off. How do you get past it? I know he was close with Dallas Turner. They played at Alabama together. Right. How do you handle that?
Well, it's that's a part of being a professional. I mean, you're going to grieve, and it's good to grieve. It's good to cry. Go do all that and do it every day if you want to. And but in the meantime, you're here. You got a job to do. You got responsibilities here, and you're going to have to find a way to go out there and give it your best every play out there, because this is what we do. We're professional football players, and we'll grieve, and they'll grieve all season for him. But for that 2 or 3 hours, they're going to have to put that on the back burner and do what they got to do so they can, accomplish the things that they want to accomplish. It's not going to be easy, but I'm sure they'll be able to do it.
All right, real quick final answer from you. Will we see much more of Sam Darnold in the preseason now that McCarthy is down? You think they just stow him away now?
I think they may let him go a series or two, but I think they're going to be very careful about what they do and how they. And plus, they got to give Jalen Hall and Mullins some time out there.
Right.
So that's going to be. But they know. I firmly believe this Sam Darnold is going to be a good fit for us. I really do believe that. So now that JJ's not there, one of the other two guys are going to have to step up and do the job.
Yeah. All right, Chuck. Good stuff. Appreciate it. We'll be talking to you. It's football season.
Okay, thanks, fella.
Thanks, Chuck.
All right.
All right.
He is former Vikings great Chuck Foreman, the great number 44, with us right here on 10,000 Takes. Stay with us. Back with more after this time.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earrings. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
Finding the ideal place to stay is important for business travelers. Lakeville, Minnesota is conveniently located off I-35, just south of the Twin Cities, with a variety of hotel choices. Lakeville offers convenient amenities such as shopping, walking trails, golf, and more. Our unique meeting spaces, historic downtown, live music, and over 60 dining options are sure to impress. Book your next stay in Lakeville and experience convenience, comfort, and quality. Find your perfect hotel at visitlakeville.org.
Well, we've had an abundance of Minnesota Vikings football talk. And we're not that far off from your Golden Gophers. As a matter of fact, their regular season starts before the Vikings' regular season by a couple of weeks because Gophers open up on a Thursday night. And are you ready for some football?
We have no choice. It now starts at least college football, prep football, before Labor Day weekend. So in this case, the Gophers a Thursday night against North Carolina at Huntington Bank Stadium. And yeah, here we go. Bon voyage. And what kind of a season will Minnesota have? Well, North Carolina is going to be a good test out of the gate. Now, there's no Drake May, the Tar Heels quarterback who had a lot of success against Minnesota last year, I believe, in Chapel Hill. He's in New England now, trying to become QB1 there.
The next Tom Brady?
Well, I didn't want to say that. That's a lot of pressure to put on a guy. But, yeah, if the Gophers can get this one out of the gate, that'd be a positive beginning.
Yeah. Are you excited about Gopher football? Even a better question. That sounds to me like that's a no.
Well, I mean, I think their first 4 games are at home. They also have Nevada, Rhode Island, and Iowa. You know, with this bloated Big Ten, you're not going to get Iowa late in the season anymore like you used to. They'll still have Wisconsin late, but I mean, it's all over the board now, all over the map. I think Gopher fans can be cautiously optimistic, but it's going to be hard.
Can they finish? All right, look, can they finish in the top 10 in the Big Ten? That's a big ask now that there's 18 of them.
And that's a fair question. And what's the line of demarcation to get a bowl bid? Well, we found out a year ago you can be sub 500 like Minnesota was, but have a decent GPA with your athletes, and Detroit will call you and have you come to the Quick Lane Bowl. I don't know. I think the Gophers have a lot to prove. I feel like they missed opportunities the last 2 or 3 years in what was a very mediocre Big Ten West, and they couldn't close the deal and win it and go to that title game in Indy. They didn't pounce on their chances. Now it gets more difficult. They're going to have to rise to the occasion because you're going to see USC at home. You got to go to UCLA. You still got the Hawkeyes and the Badgers. They got to go to Michigan. And so on and on it goes.
Yeah. Okay, so the Big Ten is one of now 4 power conferences in college football because the Pac-10 is no more, Pac-12 or Pac-8 as they
Pac-2.
They're now the Pac-2. So the Big Ten is now the Big 18. They're going to get at least 1, if not 2 or 3 teams in this 12-team tournament at the end of the season. Personally, I am finally excited about what college football or how college football is going to end its season. The 4-team playoff was better, but this is where it should be.
Yeah, no doubt. And, I think on the flip side, college football, the tradition, the pomp and the pageantry that they try to sell, which it's always been a big business, folks, but it's really gone. I mean, the fact that you have 4 West Coast teams now in the Big Ten, you've got a couple on the East Coast. I mean, the Big Ten used to be the Midwest, the heartland, flyover land, but not anymore. So it's all changed. You look at the Big 12 and you look at the SEC, and it's tough go if you're Washington State or Oregon State. It's like musical chairs. You got nowhere to sit now. It's the Pac-2. Maybe the Gophers should go to the Pac-2. They might win that thing.
They have a chance to win the Pac-2. All right.
What's the guaranteed bowl game for the Pac-2 winner?
The Quick Lane Bowl.
Oh, there you go.
We'll be back with a quick final segment to this week's show after this. Stay with us.
Let your adventure begin in Lakeville, Minnesota. We have over 90 places to grab a bite to eat, and we're close to the Mall of America, Valley Fair, and the Minnesota Zoo, plus hotel packages and great rates. Visit Lakeville. We're serious about fun all year round.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
Get away to Lakeville, Minnesota, where your family will have tons of outdoor fun. Come for the nature and stay for the thrills. Bring the bikes, swimsuits, fishing poles, and walking shoes as Lakeville boasts trails, lakes, and beaches. Plan your itinerary at visitlakeville.org today.
10K Takes on television as we wrap up yet another episode. Big shout out to the viewers watching in the Twin Cities, St. Paul, Minneapolis, suburbs like Little Canada. Glad to have you on board.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, let's find out what your mood is. Angry American, happy camper, cranky Yankee. What is it this week?
Well, my take of the day has to do with the Summer Olympics, which, as you know, recently completed. I know you're not a huge fan of the Summer Olympics or the Olympics in general, but there are folks out there like myself like to dabble and watch some of the events throughout the couple of weeks that it's on. And there are folks who are basically disinterested and don't check it out at all. And then there's that other group, the group that's mad at the Olympics, the group that's ticked off. They have disdain for the Olympics. They're not watching because they hated the opening ceremonies. Well, I got news for you. The opening ceremonies has nothing to do with the athletes that are there representing America, representing you, representing me, representing us overseas. Why in the world would you not watch them if you have interest in their sport? I saw some great performances, track and field, gymnastics, swimming. Regan Smith from Lakeville goes to high school in Lakeville, wins 5 swimming medals this year. Suni Lee from St. Paul wins 3 more in gymnastics. I mean, we had plenty of Minnesotans that were over there competing. Look, these athletes, you should be cheering them on, not saying, I hate the Olympics because I hated the opening ceremony. I agree. Some of the opening ceremonies were ridiculous, but most of them are. There are ridiculous things that go on every day. I did like them bringing them down the river on the boats in the opening ceremony to introduce the athlete. That was kind of cool. But yeah, some of it was garbage. And some of the, events I could do without breakdancing as an event at the Olympics. And there were a few others that I could do without as well. I think they had rock climbing as one of the events this year. I mean, so they got some dumb events. So the opening ceremonies were garbage. But the track and field were fun to watch. The basketball was epic. And as I said, the swimming, the gymnastics, there was just some great performances there. So for those of you who are just mad at the Olympics, so I'm not watching, get over yourself. They are representing us. They are representing the United States of America. You should be ashamed of yourself for not watching and cheering on your fellow Americans.
And the mood meter says he's an angry American.
Yes, very much.
A fellow angry American. Well, not surprised.
No.
All right. Well, I'm going to throw shade on the NFL. Hey, dictator Roger Goodell, it's time to get rid of these gimmick games in London and Munich and now Rio de Janeiro and play the games here in the States. Okay, and here's an example. The Minnesota Vikings going back to the United Kingdom, a 3rd trip this coming season, early October. They will host the New York Jets. I believe the game's in Tottenham. Well, you know what this does to Minneapolis? To lose a home game? A lot of hotel revenue out the window. A lot of folks that would go to bars or restaurants, goodbye cash. The economic windfall that they would get from a home game is gone. And not only that, the Vikings play the Jets. That means Aaron Rodgers could be making his final appearance ever in Minneapolis wearing New York Jets green instead of Green Bay Packers green. But instead it will happen across the drink known as the ocean, the Atlantic, in United Kingdom. So I say scrap these London games. I'm tired of it. And besides, you got to fork out like $2,000 to go to the UK to watch these things. Most of us don't have that kind of cash.
No.
So get rid of the international games, NFL. And on that note, let's FedEx out our thank yous. One to David Weld, Paul Langfellow, Rocky, Chuck Foreman, for Wally. I'm Eric saying so long. This is 10K Takes, your sports ticket.